Hey guys, so this week we have a Copic illustration of two of my characters, and the one on the right is my kind of main character, Yako, and of him as a child, and his brother who still needs a name. I'm considering a couple right now, but if you have any suggestions, feel free to state them. So how this kind of came about was I was doing some thumbnails of ideas to do for Inktober, and I drew this and I was like, this is too good of an idea to just let it be just an Inktober. So I just waited till Inktober was over and I sketched it out, and I actually sketched it out like the first sketch I did was the one that I ended up using, which is a little bit unusual because normally whenever it's something a little bit more detailed and something that I have a bit more of a distinct idea for, it takes more than one try to get what I'm going for. So, we're already past it, but whenever I colored in Yako's one leg that's standing in the water, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm Lion Decker. Like I liked how the coloring was on that leg whenever I was doing it. I mean, now whenever I'm looking at it, I'm like, what's really so special about it? But at the time, I was just like, oh yeah. Speaking of which, I was kind of trying to emulate Lion Decker a little bit, especially after I did that with Yako's skin. I wanted it to kind of look a little bit wet, I guess, because he's in the water and stuff, and Lion Decker's stuff always kind of did have a little bit of a liquidy. That's always the term I use to describe it. I don't know if it's really all that accurate, but and he could really render wet skin really well. So if you haven't heard of him, you should really go check him out. He's one of my favorite artists and a pretty big inspiration to me, so. Something that I really did like about this piece was just the fact that it was something kind of different. I felt like I was indeed like pushing myself and doing something a little bit different, yet it was very kind of comfortable to work on. Because it wasn't entirely out of my comfort zone, mostly just Yako's pose, and the water. Which, I mean, I've drawn water before, but it's always something I get really nervous about, because, water's kind of hard to draw because it's very reflective and it catches a lot of the colors that are around it, and I tried incorporating that. Like, I tried not to completely work around it, but I don't know if I really pulled it off particularly well, but, try until you succeed, right? Around this point, like once both of them were colored in, which I'm not seeing yet because the video I'm watching is lagging, but once they were both colored in, I started feeling like it looked a little bit bland to me. I don't know why. Maybe I don't have a very good color for shading the darker skin. Like, I used BV31, which is my favorite one to shade skin in, but I don't know if it works necessarily as well on the darker skin tones. I just felt like something wasn't like tying it together. I just felt like it was all like just brown and green, basically. Tinsel, will you stop it? cat's making noise. So yeah, that was something that I really had a struggle with, was just sort of not panicking too early. And this is something that happens to me a lot, is sometimes I'll panic a little bit too early, and I'll try to kind of be fixing something before it really needs fixing, like, you know, desperately trying to save it before it really needs saved. And sometimes I've gotten to the end of pieces and realized like actually I could have done without doing that thing that I thought was saving it. So sometimes you kind of have to ride it out and wait until or like, you know, just be like, you know what, I'll just see how the rest of the piece goes, and if I still need to fix that, I'll do it. But, you know, don't act necessarily too early on these things. Also, I've got to point out the blue rock that's in the bottom right corner. It wasn't supposed to end up that blue. It almost ended up looking like a gemstone with how rich I quite made its color, which this kind of comes from me not this comes from me trying to avoid using gray for the most part, and I don't think it was necessarily a good go here, but this kind of has to also do with like just the evolution of the way I choose colors. And whenever I was first starting to use Copics, which was about 5 years ago, all of my colors were super saturated. They were all like really like burn your eyes saturated. And then I started making my colors like too desaturated. Like saturation was bad to me, but everything was very washed out and very gray and very unappealing. And then I kind of got out of that, and now I'm like afraid of gray. So yeah, there's that. An interesting color combination on the ground, and I don't know exactly how I came up with this. I was just messing around with colors in a little test sheet, and I used V99 and I used EO4, which is a very pinkish earth tone. It's called Lipstick Natural, and it's very pinkish, and I used E33 over that to create that dirt color, and I actually rather quite like it because I was trying to get the dirt to look a little bit damp, I guess, and you know, I also used some of the EO4 in the trees, or in the two big trees anyway, and I think it looks rather cool. I really like how the tree on the right looks. I really like how it turned out. As I was saying before about the water, I was really nervous about it, you know, getting the reflections and like, you know, incorporating colors that were around in the environment. And something that I guess you could sort of say I picked this up from Bob Ross, especially whenever I watched him whenever I was younger and stuff like that. I don't know if it's necessarily if I'm doing it right whenever I'm using it with markers, but like kind of using the color like horizontally, like making my strokes horizontal and then dragging it down with vertical lines, you know. I think it at least made like a very good like base for the water before I went over it with the other colors and stuff. I think it kind of made it look like water. Something that I kind of have to point out too is on his brother, and that is like I'm both like proud and not of his back. Like I recognize that I definitely could have did that better. I think it probably looks a little bit incorrect, but at the same time I don't think it looks awful. I think it looks better than some other backs I've created in the past, so I'll take it as a success, but I can definitely point out that it's not correct either. Anatomy, man. Although anatomy is probably my favorite, like, fundamental subject, if you will. It's something that I probably put more focus in than anything else, like perspective, which I need to, or color, or anything else. I don't know. It's kind of fun to me, although you would think that I'd probably be better at it, considering the fact that I practice it as much as I do. The area behind Yako, the lighter area, like off in the distance, I think that I could have afforded to just go one shade darker with the colors back there. I think maybe they're just a little too light. I was trying to show, like, you know, depth and add contrast by making it pretty light there and to the left, but I don't know if that was necessarily a good idea. Also, I was trying to make the part of the lake or stream that they're at be kind of shady, and then kind of have it get lighter as it goes more to the left and back, but I don't know if that really came across. Also, the frog. The frog was definitely my favorite part of doing this. I just really like how the colors on him turned out. I mean, I think he's a little bit maybe big for the kind of frogs that are around streams. I don't know, I've never caught frogs, but, you know. Also, this was kind of fun and something that I've never done before. And I don't even know exactly how I came up with it, but whenever I was going through with stuff with my gel pen, I would just put a dot down, and I would sort of take my finger and drag it up and toward the frog to make it look like splashing water, and I really liked the effect that gave. And I did, like, you know, just some, like, regular spots as well, but yeah, I thought that turned out kind of cool. So, yeah, you know, I don't think I mentioned this, and I'll be really quick about this, and that is this video must have been quite a bit longer. Like, I normally speed my videos up by 8, but this one's actually sped up by 12 because the video was like 20 minutes long, so I tried to kind of cut it down a little bit. So that's about all the time we have, and thank you so much for watching, and if you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. And, yeah. I'll see you next week. Bye!